rude boys gonna get you by degrees. Here comes the West Indies. And when you're facing the generals, nearly every ball is a funeral. And when we batting, brother, go and put your men on the boundary line. And if you give we a liquor, that is merely a hiccup. Look, you win the little battle, you lose the war. It's the same result every time. Everybody sing. Here comes the West Indies. Here comes the West Indies. Them rude boys gonna get you by degrees. Here comes the West Indies. I tell you now, here comes the West Indies. Here comes the West Indies. Them bad boys gonna bring you to your knees. Here comes the West Indies. Special request to the Trini posse. And what about the Guyana posse? And what about the Jamaica posse?
When a country forgets its woes and just lives and lives life in its joy, and the oneness of which we dream is now ours to give. Champions take our dreams and make us all immortal. We dance, we cry, we scream. We see beyond the portal when us wheel mighty wings, so we can float above our everyday blue rhythms. Now we walk with kings through the ups and downs, but now all is so forgiven. Champions take our dreams and make us all immortal. We dance, we cry, we scream, and we are now immortal. There's a time in our lives when a country forgets its woes and just lives and lives and lives and lives and lives life in its joy, and the oneness of which we dream is now ours to give. Champions take our dreams and make us all immortal. We touch the face of God, and we are now immortal. We are proud in our hearts. Our heroes have brought us joy, and we're so uplifted. We walk in their path, from the lonely streets to the halls of the great and gifted. Champions take our dreams. Champions take our dreams and make us all immortal. Oh yeah, we touch the face of God, and we are now immortal. Oh yeah, champions take our dreams and make us all immortal. We dance, we cry, we scream, and we are now immortal. dreams and make us all immortal. We touch the face of God. Oh, and we are now immortal. Champions take our dreams and make us all immortal. Everybody fly, 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 fly. And we are now immortal. Oh yeah, walk like a champion. Until you walk like a champion. Everybody move like a champion. You are a champion. And you are a champion. Oh,
The Cricket Chronicles by David and Michael Rodder. One of the great, that is the only cricket album actually, the Cricket Chronicles. The only album. We have lots of cricket, calypso, cricket, reggae, but it's the first and only album of cricket songs, the Cricket Chronicles by David Rodder. Champions make our dreams. We touch the face of God. The poet of Calypso. Good evening to you and welcome to Caribbean Cricket 101, West Indies Cricket 101. We haven't been on for quite a while, and I have to take responsibility for that, but we're back. Please share the link and let everyone know that we're on. Basil Butcher Jr. Is here, and there are lots to talk about. Lots to talk about in West Indies cricket. Basil, good evening.
Good evening, Dr. Hines, and good evening to your viewers.
And it's been quite a while.
Yes, sir. I've been fielding a lot of inquiries as to what happened to the show.
Yes.
We have a lot of fans, it seems.
That's what Dr. Adams was telling me.
Yeah. I mean, I was at the funeral too, and I was asked that question by a guy came up to me, say, "You're not Butcher." Because I saw you walking in today, I said, that's Butcher, man. Welcome to the show. I said, call Dr. Hines.
I take full responsibility. Talking about that memorial for Milton Paidana, long serving West Indies, Guyana, and West Indies. He played a couple of one-day internationals, I think, in 1981. But he was a fixture. I mean, if you were coming up in cricket in the 70s and the 80s, Paidana was a fixture. And it was shocking to hear of his death relatively early. He was just
75. Yeah,
75. That's very early. Your own reflections on the career of Milton Paidana. I want to say during that time, if you're Guyanese, for those 2 decades, it was Paidana. For a little while, it was Skinner, Lonsdale Skinner, and Bamfield was always there. I remember in 1987, I think Paidana finally called it a day in 1987.
Yes.
And there was Bamfield, who I think is the same age as Paidana.
Yeah.
Getting to play a full series.
A full season.
Yes, a full season. But your reflections on
I've known Paidana. I knew him from the year he started because that was my father's last season. And he was one of the guys my father, kind of took on his wing as a veteran playing the team. So he interacted with our family for that reason. So I knew him from since then. Um, I always actually he reminded me. I had forgotten about it because as a youngster, I used to go with my father to trial matches, and I would be sitting down right in front where the selectors were. So I heard all the conversation. I mean, a lot of it didn't mean a lot to me at that time because at 8 years old, some of these technical things they're talking about, the players out on the field. But I would hear things that I could remember. And this was in 74 at the trials. And I heard them say, we got this guy, Lonsley Skinner, who is playing county cricket in England. And we're going to bring, Paidana is going to play the first 2 games. And then we'll bring in Skinner for the 2 games at home. Well, at the end of the day's play, I'm waiting for my father outside the main gate of GCC there. And when you come in the main gate, they got the bars where you could separate the crowd to come in the gate. I bracing up on the bar. And Paidanis, when he's coming out, I tell him, you hear, "Hi, young Butch." And I said, Paidano, they're going to drop you. He look at me, "What you mean, young Butch?" I said, "I heard them say some chap named Lansley Skinner. They're going to play you the first 2 games, and then he's going to replace you for the last 2 games." I don't know if he really believed me or not, but obviously I couldn't make that up. So he would have had to believe me. And so said, so done, right? He played the first 2 games of the 74 season. And when the team came home to play the 2 games in Guyana, Paidana was left out of the team. The only thing, because I liked Paidana from the first I met him, I always liked him. What I vexed with him is that if he had went and scored some runs in those 2 games, they would have been hard pressed to drop him, right? How are you going to replace a guy doing good? But unfortunately, he didn't do anything with the bat, and it made it easy for them to replace him with Lance Skinner, which I thought was a mistake, but
And Lance Skinner is usually on this program. If you're on, Mr. Skinner, good night to you. I know these are issues that you take very seriously. And I remember 74, 75, 76, Skinner coming home and playing those seasons and then disappear. And it's only recently that I, in reading Holden's book on racism in cricket, that I realized Lonsdale Skinner was a victim of racism at that time in England. I think he was at Middlesex. No, sorry. He was at
because I think he was involved. He is still involved with getting Caribbean or Black youth into cricket. They got something called the ACE program there in the UK, trying to get youngsters, particularly Black and Caribbean youngsters, to get into the sport of cricket. Yeah.
But back to Paidana, he said to have been, if not the best glovesman of his generation, certainly clear. I mean, he would be vying with David Murray.
Yeah.
Right. Derek Murray was there, but it was. I always heard them say that David Murray was a better keeper than Derek Murray. And later on, you would hear Paidana name being called of Derek Murray. In your estimation, is it a good comparison?
It's interesting. I've seen Murray keep a few times, but I was young, so my looking at the technical aspects of wicket keeping, I couldn't say I was versed per se. But it's until I heard, it was Sidney Matthews. We were one day in the park and he was talking about the brilliance of David Murray as a wicketkeeper. Paidana was there at present in this discussion, and Mato was just gushing about David Murray's wicket-keeping skill. And I said, what about compared to my body, right? And even Paidana acknowledged, he said, yeah, Murray was better than me, as a wicket-keeper. And I remember years later, I asked my dad the question, in his estimation, who he had seen, who was the best wicketkeeper he had seen in the West Indies, and he didn't even hesitate. He said the Barbadian guy, Everton Week's son. I mean, he didn't even hesitate, right? I used to hear, the consensus people used to say about Jackie Hendricks.
Jackie Hendricks, that's what I was just about to ask.
When he said the little short Bajan guy, Everton Week's son, I said David Murray. He said, yes, he's the best I've seen. So I was, so when he said that, it reminded me of what Mato had said about David Murray. And, Pai acknowledging that David Murray was a better wicketkeeper than he was.
What goes in, Basil? And I know you've coached and so forth, so you bring some technical knowledge here. And I've heard you assess Josh De Silva as
Imlach.
And Imlach, comparing the two. What goes in? What separates the excellent keeper from the
the first thing is them catching the ball, catching more of the balls, right? The gloves are in a good position with their head and their gloves are in a good position. You're catching the ball. If it's closer to you, your eyes over the ball catching. Then you obviously the footwork, right? Being able to get to balls that maybe the next guy didn't have the capability because you have superior glove work, right? Cleaning up bad throws that you can catch on the half volley, make them into a half volley, and clean up a bad throw. Also, when the ball bounces in front of you, you have the good technique to get behind the ball and stop the ball from passing you, right? For buys or something of the sort, keeping the ball right in front of you. All of those things would add up to what would make an excellent wicketkeeper.
Versatility in terms of keeping to both.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that often tests you the most is spin bowling, especially good spin bowling where the ball is turning and bouncing. That's the thing that really stood out for me about Imlach in Pakistan, because here in very difficult conditions, with the ball bouncing and spinning as the way it did, that he was almost flawless. Virtually flawless behind the stump. I mean, some of his takes down the leg side were awesome, to say the least. And that showed you the ability of him as a wicketkeeper. The fast bowling, standing back to the fast bowling, one would say that is a lot easier because you have more time. But the thing about that, a lot of time, if you don't have the good footwork, right, that is when you could be found wanting when you're keeping, especially if the ball is going down the leg side, or if you got a catch going towards between you and for a slip, that you're able to have the good footwork. You could push off and get to the ball and make a clean catch. Same way going down the leg side. Or even being able to elevate up into the air and take the ball above your head, when the fast bowlers are bowling, Yeah.
And what a time in the 70s and 80s in terms of the
I don't know, Dr. Hines, were you at the match in 1978 between, it was a Geddes Grant Harrison line match I think it's 78 between, no, 79, sorry, between Guyana and Windward Islands. And umpire Haynes was one of the umpires because he was involved in this decision. And Lockhart Sebastian was putting the hammer onto us and looked like he was going to win the game. And there was a controversial run out. You know, Paidana has been known for picking the bails.
Yes, I've heard that. I'm trying to
Right?
remember when I was watching that. Yeah.
And umpire Haynes put up his hand for the run out. And I vividly remember this. Lockhart Sebastian was mad. He was mad. You could see how he hit his butt down and how he was carrying on as he was walking back to the pavilion. And, you know, as I said, Paidana, you know, the family, everybody know Paidana, you know. And he would always, you know, we come out and he see our car, we waiting for the old boy, he would come and he'll love the old lady. And so on. So after that day's play, he came by the car. My mother called him and said, Paidana, what happened out there? Paidana said, Mrs., I have no comments. I used to tell Pai, I said, Pai, you complain this era with TV. He said, no, I complain this era. They would have banned me.
Yeah, quite a time. Yeah? I mean, we're talking in Guyana about Skinner and Bamfield and Paidana. Mm-hmm. You go further field, we talked about Rex Murray before that, you know. But you had Derek Murray, wasn't a bad keeper.
No, he was solid. He was solid. Yeah, he was solid.
Quite neat. I happened to see Desmond Lewis at Border.
Yes, 7-1.
Yes, yeah. He was quite a keeper.
A neat keeper there, Michael Finley.
So it was a hell of a time to have been a keeper and to try to get the West Indies team. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think the thing for Pai, more than anything else, his batting at the Shell Shield level did not come up to scratch for him to leapfrog over some of his contenders to get the spot in the West Indies team. His batting at the Shell Shield level was nothing close to what he did in the local circuit in Case Cup.
Right.
If he was anywhere in that vicinity, he would have been a serious candidate to play Test cricket for the West Indies. Yeah. I think he got a raw deal in 1978-79 going to India. He should have been the backup keeper to David Murray instead of Randy Leon.
Oh yes.
That was a travesty of justice. You know, because everybody, the general consensus was Paidana going to India as the backup to David Murray. That was the general. And then when the team was named, everybody mouth dropped.
Yeah.
Randy Leon, you gotta be kidding me. Where did that guy come out of to leapfrog over Paidana? You know? So yeah.
Yeah, they finally made amends a couple of seasons later by taking him to Pakistan.
And then he went to India in 83. Where he played both tours. He played ODIs on both tours. Yeah.
Right. And when I've gone to Antigua, they thought a lot about a fellow named Hector, who was the keeper at that time for them, and they really thought that he was as good as Murray, even better. And I remember talking to Tim Hector, who is a good
I remember.
analyst. Yes, and Tim felt that the fellow Hector was as good as anyone else.
Okay, well, sometimes them guys from some of those places, I just gotta take some of what they say with a grain of salt, because I just want to know what is it compared, who they comparing to, and so on, you know. But yeah, I remember the late Tim Hector. We had an interaction one time. West Indies are playing Australia. I was in Antigua. That's 95, and Richie Richardson was out, and I'm in the pavilion where he was, and I in the harness nest, and I decide I can stir it up. I said, don't worry, T. Richardson, man. Look, a real batsman walking in now. Carl Hooper was walking in the bat. No one, no flipping Richardson. And I talking loud. Look, a real batsman walking out the bat. And boy, they bring on Steve Waugh. And shortly thereafter, Carl pushed the ball in mid-wicket. So when Carl walked in and hit him, like, the guy needs, what you have to say? I said, at this moment, I'm engaged. I cannot.
Yeah, but Tim Hector thought a whole lot about Carl Hooper. He was a Carl Hooper fan.
Yeah, man. I just felt like Gene up the Antigons, you know. I just felt like Gene them up and said, let me Gene them up and tell them, hey, Guy Richardson did not know they looked a real batsman.
All you have to do is to put the ball in Keith Waugh,
Steve Waugh, man. I don't know. Steve Waugh had something over Carl. He would always get his wicket, boy. I tell you. Sometimes it happens like that, you know. There is a guy, he just has a knack of getting you out, you know. You have no explanation for it. It's not like he bowling something magic, but he just has a knack of getting you out. And that was Steve Waugh and Carl Hooper.
Yeah. Good evening, and if you're just joining us, please share the link. Yes, West Indies Cricket 101 is back. I'm here with Basil Butcher Jr. Basil, they're choosing, they're about to choose a test captain, and we have lots of science. I understand that there are 6. If your friend,
according to Mason,
that's right.
Mason broke the news that we have 6 candidates being interviewed, namely, Roston Chase, Tevin Imlach, Joshua De Silva, Justin Graves, Jamel Warrican, and John Campbell.
Yeah.
But I want to know where Jamel Warrican and Justin Graves, out of what criteria they made this list. You know, I mean,
that is what is bothering me. I mean, you have Atenae's captains.
Yeah.
The Windward Islands. He's not in the mix. And you were telling me Warrican and Justin Graves, who have not captained any team in any consistent way. I'm sure they may have captained a match here and there. But what is? Try to explain to me from what you were hearing. What is this all about?
Well, what Andrew revealed in his whoever leaked to him, whatever, if it's indeed, but usually Andrew gets these things, this information is usually right. So I'm not going to doubt him at all, because he has in the past had similar, and when the news finally came to light, he was correct. They got this thing they call psychometrics. It's part of the evaluation, and they're interviewing the players. Now, in my view, psychometrics are a value, but not to pick a captain, in my view. Psychometrics is what like in in Australia, Cricket Australia, when they scout players, they have all these various categories. If you're scouting a batter, you're scouting a bowler, and at the last column is character, which would encompass what the psychometric test would be. And I feel all players should undergo that testing, so you can get a view into their personality, their character, because that is part and parcel as to a person. And also, based on their testing, you then could, maybe if there are things that are deficit in terms of the way they're thinking out, how to apply their skills to the game and so on, you can put them in scenarios and to try to upskill those aspects that they're weak in and so on. But I don't think it's something that should be used for captaincy. You would already have gotten that information, and you making a call on a player based on all the boxes you want to be ticked off for captaincy, based on your viewing them in action. No, this is not, as you being a professor, this is not a school test. This is real life athletics where things change by the split second. Choices have to be made like that, where lots of times you don't even have time to contemplate that much about your choices you're gonna make in the heat of the battle, right? So I don't think that, because let's say, for example, Warwick aces the psychometric, and as I've been hearing that Warwick is the one that is the leading guy with coming out of these things. So if Warwick aces this, is that, how much are you weighing that in choosing a captain? You know, so that is a question to be answered. The other thing is, with Andrew breaking this information, well, the West Indies board are neither acknowledging or denying. They have no comment, right? The CEO was on Andrew's show, and Andrew directly asked him, and he said, I have no answer to your fairy tales, something along those lines. But why I say that, West Indies board has to not do that anyway. They wouldn't anyway. Because from my view, because what we have seen, let's assume Andrew is right. We already then know who are 6 of the players that will be selected for the squad to play Australia. Because there's no way on earth you are going to be looking at a guy to be captain, and that guy is not somebody you already got in your squad, right? So to me, it'll be interesting to see when that team for Australia selected the squad, and let's see if indeed those 6 guys would be in the squad.
I got a couple of questions to ask you. What do we want from a captain in 2025? Given where our cricket is, given everything that is happening, are we looking for somebody who's going to be an interim skipper? Are we looking for somebody to invest in the long run? What is it we are looking for in a captain? I mean, I go back to Clive Lloyd. I remember the time the contenders they were talking about were Maurice Foster and David Alford.
Correct.
And they were saying both of them had more captaincy experience.
Of course.
Than Clive.
And also David Horford's team had won the Shell Shield that year.
Right. So but Clive had been in the team at that time from 66, 67.
Yeah.
To 74. That's about 8 years.
8 years, yes.
Which was quite a long time. He played with Sobers, he played with Kanai, he played with Norris Butcher, he played with that generation that he came.
He is the bridge. He's the bridge
between. And so therefore there was an argument to be made that although he did not have captaincy experience, he had experience in the team. He had been playing in Lancashire for quite a few seasons.
Yeah.
So he had experience playing overseas. I think he was even playing some great cricket in Australia.
Yes, he was too.
So he had experience playing across the world. He had experience playing in the team with the old greats and so forth. So one could have made an argument then that, look, you were investing in someone who had everything going for him except big cricket experience, captaincy experience. I mean, he had captain Guyana in
like 4 games. He had like 4 games experience.
Right. So what are we looking for today? Are we looking for a Lloyd? Are we looking for someone who's going to take this team for the next year or two and transition it to something else? What is it you think we ought to be looking for?
I think at the minimum, we're looking for a captain to take us through the next World Test Championship cycle. which would take us to till the end of 2027, I think it is, because the cycle starts in June. Well, our force engagement is against Australia, so it will take us to 2027. So at minimum, you're looking for captain for minimum for that period, and then you could see where you are in terms of that. I mean, the West Indies, I don't know what they're looking, if they're looking for a long-term solution, et cetera, right? And I don't even know, in this day and age, you can really talk about long-term solution, a long-term person in this day and age, with the advent of all these T20 leagues around and all these various things, that you could say, oh, we want a guy for the next 5 years, because the cricket landscape is so volatile. Everything seems to be changing by the month or so, as to a new what you call it, a new league comes up, or whatever the case may be. Maybe things may change, maybe you have a window. And then also, we're not playing a lot of test cricket anymore. We're playing 6, 7 or so test matches a year. So I think it you know, it probably be a captain. You pick a captain for the cycle. You see where you are, and if that depending on how that captain has worked out, he continues to the next cycle, and so on.
All right. So you're saying that we need a captain for the next cycle.
Yes.
When you look at the 6 people, I really don't take 3 of them seriously. For me, and I'm not talking about taking the cricketer seriously.
No, I know what you're saying.
The candidacies. I think it's De Silva, Imlach, and Chase. All right. If you're going to go down to 3. Of the 3, what's your preference?
My choice has, from the time Brathwaite, we got the news that Brathwaite had resigned from the captaincy. My choice was Chase, and for some of the reasons you just denoted regarding Clive Lloyd, because if you look down at all the candidates of the 6, Chase by far is the most experienced player in Test cricket. Even albeit he hasn't played Test cricket in 2 years, he's the most experienced. So he is a guy that would have seen more in the Test game than all of them. And I think you would say Chase, if you add up the Test matches of all the other 5, and Chase still got more. Chase has more experience, and I think Chase can make this team as an all-rounder, right? Spin, batting and bowling is off spin. His experience. We have a very, very young team, very inexperienced team. Similar to, even more inexperienced than when Clive Lloyd took over, right?
Yes, because people like
Greenidge,
although they had not played Test matches,
right?
They've been playing in county cricket.
You still had Gibbs, Gibbs, Murray, Van Bornholder, around.
Keith Boyce.
Yeah, well, Keith Boyce was relatively new still, because he started in 71, right? He was a guy been around, but in terms of Test experience, his was limited. So outside of Holder, Gibbs, and Murray, the rest of the guys were relatively new in the Test scene. So you had the experience of a Clive Lloyd, who had been around to be shepherding this new team of young players and so on. Similarly, Chase, the guy with the real experience is Brathwaite. Everybody else is somewhat limited. If you were to throw in Alzari, I think got like 20 Test matches or something of the sort. And similarly, if he was to make the team, De Silva, same thing, right? But outside of them, everybody else is really greenbacks, as we would say, or we in Guyana would say green mangoes. You know, they're very, very green to the test scene. So a guy like Chase, who's had that experience, and Chase has captained Barbados on occasions, done a good job in doing so. He has filled in as the captain for the white ball team, both T20 and I think ODI, if I'm not mistaken. So Sammy would be very familiar with him as a captain and a leader in the mix, right? So those are the reasons I would choose Chase to be the captain, and his average is like all the rest of them, 20 something, right? But take out his average, the other part of his career in terms of as a batter is very similar to Clive Lloyd at the time Clive Lloyd was appointed. Both of them had 5 test centuries. Clive Lloyd had 12 50s. Chase got 11 50s. And when Clive Lloyd became the captain, that responsibility, he took his batting to a new level. Who knows? We don't know. Nobody expected Clive Lloyd to average 50 runs, 50 odd runs as a batsman, as captain of the West Indies team, right? Nobody thought that would be the case, right? But indeed he did. And who knows what Chase can do, you know?
All right, so Chase is your choice.
Yes.
Knowing the Cricket West Indies and so forth, who do you think will be their choice?
well, I think with them, if indeed what the news Andrew has revealed about the 6 candidates, with Chase being in there, tells me that Chase is a guy they're seriously looking at. So I think he has as good a chance as anybody else in that list, and he has some things with him that the others don't have experience, and that's something you don't buy at the store.
De Silva was vice captain. Yes, he was dropped, but he was vice captain, which means that they've been grooming him. They saw.
Yeah. I mean, look, I have my you know, there's the Guyanese who are so bloody insular that Imlach is their guy irrespective, and they come up with all kinds of different permutations as to. So I said I could make a case for De Silva being captain for some of the reasons you just denoted. They seem to be grooming De Silva for leadership. He was vice captain. He's also was the captain of the A team, right? And in my view, if De Silva was to be the chosen person for captain, he wouldn't be going behind the stumps. Imlach would be staying behind the stumps. De Silva would be playing purely as a batsman.
Is that a luxury we can afford? I mean,
well, when you look down the batting lineup of West Indies team, De Silva is comfortably in the mix with all the 20-somethings. Right? I mean, that is the sad reality. We don't have no world beaters in that batting lineup. You know, everybody's a 20-something guy. So he'll be fitting in nicely in that company.
Yeah. I'm leaning towards Chase.
Mm-hmm.
But some of the other, I think they are leaning towards
De Silva. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, it could very well be so.
Yeah,
you know, it could very well be so. You know, but yeah.
The thing is, whether they will go with your model, which is the model I will have to agree to, if they go along with
the cycle, if they're going with the cycle, yeah,
and that Imlach remains behind the storm, because I think Imlach is
right now, in my view, the wicket-keeping job is Imlach's to lose.
Yeah.
Right? He has taken the mantle. in those 2 games, and he has excelled, right? As I said, even with the bat, he did not what you would say, he didn't seem awed by the occasion with the bat. And the interesting thing, he didn't throw his wicket away. He got good deliveries. He got some beauties that took care of him in those 2 test matches, the 3 times that he batted. So I think it's his to lose. Coming up, we are starting our cycle against probably the toughest team in the world, who would be coming, as we would say in Guyana, with blood in their eye, because
Given what happened,
the last time we played Australia, we embarrassed them on their turf, and on a field that is one of their fortresses. To have the West Indies, this current West Indies, a team filled with inexperienced cricketers, to come in and beat them at Brisbane of all places. I know they'll be coming with blood in their eye.
With blood in their eyes. I seem to think, and I'm throwing this out to you, that while our batting is not up there, I think our bowling would really test the Australians.
Oh yes, I mean
the 2 Joseph.
Mm-hmm. And let's hope that Shamar can make it through those 3 test matches.
Yeah, well,
his fitness has been very dodgy as of late.
Late, yeah.
This issue that he has with his shin splints. I hope he can make it through, because I think with him and the 2 Josephs and Seals, we make up a pretty formidable fast bowling attack, that can challenge any batting lineup once they're on song.
What are they going to do about Roach?
Yeah, well, I don't know if there's a conundrum with Roach. I will bet Roach wants to get to the landmark of 300 test wickets. He is about 14 or so wickets away from that landmark. So I don't know if they're going to give him that opportunity, to do so. But that's interesting.
Clearly, if he's going to be the 4th seamer, there is no place for Jason Holder, who seems anxious to want to come back into test cricket.
Yeah, Jason stated on Mason's show emphatically that he's available to play in the test series. So we're going to see what the selectors are going to do vis-a-vis Jason Holder.
Yeah. Any new batter coming in? You think?
I mean, you got
our boy
Anderson. Yeah, in my view, you got people who are arguing about Anderson, and I am adamant about this. I do not think any of our batters should be picked into the test team based on their performances simply from the first class season. The standard of our first class cricket is too low for us to take somebody from there and put them into the test team. They must go the A-team process. They must then go to A-team and show their wares there, and then get promoted to the test team. So in my view, Anderson would be one of the guys I feel should be in the A-team, playing against South Africa A later this month into June, and get a chance to show his mettle at a higher level. Because if you remember, he was supposed to be on the A-team tour to South Africa when we went there last time, and due to some visa issue, he was unable to enter South Africa. That is, so he hasn't really played A-team cricket. He played against Ireland emerging, but those guys, Those guys are not a team level cricketers as far as I'm concerned. They're Ireland emerging players. So I want, to see him at the next level before we talk about promoting him to the test team.
And I hear you with him at the next level, but when he's competing with what we have there at the moment, even with people like Athanaze and so forth, I think he is up there with them in terms of
Well,
technique and everything. No, I'm not saying this to
no, I know
discount
what you're
your
saying.
thing. Yeah.
I will answer you when you finish. Finish.
Yes, you go ahead. Answer.
No, I have heard some arguments, and I dismiss them. I've heard these arguments. Athanaze, Hodge, they're averaging 20 something, and so on and so forth. Yes. Unfortunately, that is the standard of West Indies batting in terms of world cricket, test cricket today. The standard for us, that level of our batters is 20 something average. So don't use the 20 something average as a barometer to whether you're going to drop or play a guy coming in, right? Because all of them are 20 something average. However, what I challenge people with, Athanaze has showed that he can score at the test level. Well, he got 3 scores, 3 half centuries. I think he got 2 90s and an 80 something, right? So he has shown us that he has that ability. The question is for him to be more consistent, to develop that consistency. He himself has said he talks to Lara, and it was good to hear a youngster acknowledging the importance of those former players who've been there and done it, giving you advice and guidance and information. Because he said one of the things Lara has said to him, don't take away your aggression, but the challenge for him is to find that balance. Because we have seen Athanaze throw away his wicket in some of the most egregious manners. And Lara has said to him, he must find that balance of when to be aggressive and when to hold, as we would say, and pull back and so on. And as a young player, that's something he is grasping with to find. But he has shown us that he can score at test cricket against good bowling attacks, right? So that he has over Anderson. Similarly, Hodge also has that over Anderson. Hodge got a test 100. Hodge got a 70 something, a match-winning partnership, I would say, in that famous Brisbane win. Because if you remember, Hodge and De Silva came together. We were 60 something for 5, and at that point I said, "Oh Lord, is another 150 bowl out, and Australia gonna wipe the floor with we again." And the two of them put on 140 something and gave us a respectable score. So what I'm saying is that Hodge also has shown he can score the tough runs at test cricket. Anderson has not showed us that. So to say, because Anderson has done a superb job in the first class season, these other guys have showed us they can score runs at that level. So I don't think you're gonna just throw them out like that. To me, I want to see Anderson do it at the A team level before I would start talking about replacing them with Anderson.
All right. As I see it, Chase is gonna bat at 6. I have Imlak at 7.
Yeah.
And either you play 4 quicks or 3 quicks and Warwickon. So you go in with 3 kicks, Warwickon and Chase as the batter. My 2 opening batters are Brathwaite and Campbell.
Yeah.
And Campbell. My 3, 4, and 5 are still up for me. I think
two of the 3 is Athanaze and Hodge for me. Who you got as the next one? That remains to be seen.
Yeah, where you and I differ is that I don't think Athenaeus and Hodge are two of the three yet. I think
Okay.
they're all. I would want to see all of them in that A team.
Yeah, they will be playing. Wait, hold on. Yes, they will be playing in the A team. I can tell you that because and yeah, well, Anderson will have a chance to put his name in the books, because I think he's going to be in that batting lineup. So will be the Silver, because what they have said they will be doing is, all those guys who are not on the white ball team, test players that are not on the white ball team, they're going to have them play in the A team games, because that would be preparation for Australia. Because you remember, those guys would not have played that kind of cricket since the first class season. So they're going to use that as part of their preparation for the Australia series. So we will see quite a few current test players in the A team. Unlike normally we would have seen a team of all guys trying to put their name forward to get into the test team in this iteration of the A team that'll be playing against South Africa A.
That is good to hear. They have picked the international squads to Ireland and England. No Holder, no Puran, no Hetmeyer. Talk to us. Who got dropped? Who and one play one day?
I think in terms of Hetmeyer, well, not Hetmeyer, Puran, that is, he don't want to play ODI. That's what I read from that, right? Because the last time he has played an ODI was in the World Cup qualifiers, 2 years ago. He hasn't played an ODI since. He has had the chance to play and he hasn't played. So it tells me he is all in simply on T20 cricket, right? Hetmeyer, on the other hand, has played ODI and didn't do anything. So it may be a case of where they just didn't pick Hetmeyer and they don't view him as an option for the ODI team at this moment. Holder, probably the same thing. Unfortunately, the West Indies Cricket Board does not allow us to have a press conference with Mr. Sami after a team is selected. So queries like what you were just raising can be answered. What is it thinking, and so on and so forth. We're not able to do that. They're doing these quarterly press conferences. In my view, they have value, but in terms of selection of teams, they don't have value, because you want to have the immediacy of querying the selection of the team, and we are no longer being able to have that.
Yeah. No. Look, if you were telling me that you have the luxury of dropping Holder and Hetmeyer, no, I don't. I agree that Puran has made clear that he doesn't want to play.
Yeah, it seems so.
I am not sure that is the case with the other two. Yes. I am assuming that you drop them, and that's okay. That's okay if you think that they don't make the cut. But as you say, explain to us.
Yeah, and you know what's funny? I was on the panel on Mason's show when their media consultant, a guy named Slocum, was on there, and there was a questions about the press conferences and so on, and he was bragging, oh, we are doing all these quarterly press conferences, because the question was asked, we are not hearing from the coach in vis-a-vis team selection. So they quarterly. I said, no, Mr. Slocum. We are talking about when the team is picked. We don't want to get no press release and that be it all. We want to ask questions, because what was interesting, the last press release for this team going to England, he said something about making objectives. Well, somebody I know said what is the plural in objectives? Because the only objective, as far as I'm concerned, is to win, right? What you do in the process of building your team to win is a different thing. But there is one only objective, is for us to win matches, right? So we would want to query what you mean by objectives, right? Um, so those are the kind of things, and to ask the question, for example, why is Joel Andrew in the team? Right?
Well, yes, that's a
You
fair
know?
question.
You
I
know
have
why?
I have a lot of time for Joel Andrew.
Oh, me too. But I think they are going overboard with Mr. Joel Andrew. And I think Joel Andrew, just like Atenes, has a lot to learn about batting in terms of that aggression and so on. I mean, we saw it last night. He came in with a blaze of glory, hit 2 straight sixes, and then throw away his wicket with the most ridiculous shot again. Right? Looking to hit the man out to the park again. Right? And there comes a place, this game will humble you. Right? We saw what has happened to Basball, right? They were all in the glory with their hyper aggressiveness and so on and so forth. And when they were humble, they start to realize that it can't be go all the time, because you're putting yourself at risk against good bowling, a bowling attack. And then you could put your team on the back foot. You have, and even Stokes had come out and said, we have to play smart cricket, right? And there's a thing Joel Andrew needs to learn, and I feel he's not going to learn that at the international level, in the midst of the fire. Let him learn it at the lower levels in the A team.
Basil Butcher here. Basil, this year's IPL, I didn't spend too much time on it.
I don't even hardly watch it.
Last year I watched a lot of it. This year I hardly watch it. But one cannot help but see West Indian cricketers not getting a thing. I mean, our boy came in here the other day and slammed that record-breaking half-century.
Shepherd.
But has Shamar played a game?
No.
Has Powell played a game?
One game, I was told. Because like you, I don't really watch the IPL, and my IPL buddies that watch it every game, I queried, because after the game with KKR and Rajasthan, I saw Powell, Hetmeyer, and some other West Indian guys in conversation, and that's when I remembered. I said, "Oh shoot, that's right, Powell is in the IPL." And, you know, I had forgotten, and I asked the guys in the chat, "Has Powell played a match for the season?" And one of them, who watches all the games, said he has played one. I asked, "Has Shamar played any game?" They said, "No, he hasn't played a single match." Shepherd has, I think, played 2 matches, if I'm not mistaken. And I can't think. The other West Indians is Ryan and Russell, you know. But other than them, that's been it. Hetmeyer, of course, and again, Hetmeyer is not having a good season. Last year he didn't have a good season, and it's very similar to what happened last year with him this year. You know, I don't know how he is going to command the kind of money he has been commanding with the kind of performances he has had in the last 2 seasons.
But to be fair, and I can't stand to. I'm a Hetmeyer fan, as you know, big Hetmeyer fan, but I can't stand to watch Hetmeyer bat these days. Right?
No, I mean,
and where I'm going with that is, to be fair to him, Rajasthan Royals will have to convince me that Hetmeyer has failed
Mm-hmm.
to do what they want him to do, which is to go in at over number 16, 17, and 18 and slug.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't expect a person to be making runs consistently if you are telling him your role is to go in at over number 17 and shut your eye and hit to, to, to the next end of the globe.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're saying he's having a bad season, he's having a bad season compared to others.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of the role they want him to play, they can't tell me they had a bad season. Hetmeyer's place is to bat at number 4 in that team.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you look at even his strike rate, the indices, the metrics that they use, his season this year, I mean, I remember the one game where he did a good job and he made a 50. He did a good job there and so on. But I mean, I might be a little hyperbole when I say bad, but his season has not been when in previous years when he was playing this role as a closer, he was clearly one of the top guys playing that, or finisher, however they want to call it. He was one of the top guys. One of the top guys playing that role in the IPL. At this point, he's not one of the top guys playing that role, and that's where that's what I mean by he has digressed in terms of that. And the thing about it, I'm wondering how is he going to make the adjustment when he has to come in and play. When he has to come in and play the role, let's say if he comes in and bats
as a batter 4 like Kohli and them guys,
mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah. How he's going to play? How is he going to play that role? Because I'll give you an analogy that's going on right now. The Boston Celtics, they just live by the 3 and die by the 3. Irrespective. You got wide open space to drive to the basket. They're throwing the ball out to shoot threes because that has been ingrained in them. That is the rule. So when they come to the B situation to do anything, some of them are struggling to do it, and that's what can be happening with Hetmeyer when he has to bat many overs because he doesn't play that role, and it's been so ingrained in him to be so aggressive every time he plays, overly aggressive, to craft an inning. It seems almost something out of his scope when we know he has had that ability to do so.
And right, his strong suit was the ODI.
Yeah,
that
still remains his best performing format in international cricket.
Yeah, but if you watch him batting in ODIs recently, he comes in at number 4. The ball is moving around the place, and he's at sea.
Yeah, he sure
when
is.
we know the Hetmeyer of 4 or 5 years ago negotiated that kind of bowling better than many. Now, as I said, I can't even bear to watch Hetmeyer bat because I begin to look to deep mid wicket.
Yes,
Hetmeyer can barely play a good square cut forward of square. I mean, he used to play that inside out cover drive.
Over cover, yeah.
Over cover. All of that is gone. All of that is gone.
And then too, because if you get into the groove of where you're facing a very small amount of balls, the array of stroke play that would be you won't be able to be practicing the array of stroke play necessarily because you ain't playing enough balls to do so. I like say if you're playing in the ODI thing, or you're playing red ball cricket. Red ball cricket gives you the most chances to play a lot of shots repetitively because of the length of the game. And I would hope but it's we could say what we want. if Hetmai is satisfied with he's making a handsome return with the role he's playing, who is it for us to say he should be going and play red ball cricket or so on and so forth? If he feels that is good enough for him, and then you know what guys could tell you, yo man, I ain't ever gonna stop in no hot sun for no 6 hours,
Well, yeah,
4 days, 4 days, 6 hours, or 5 days when I could play 3 hours and I making
I know, I agree with you that clearly he's a rich man.
But let's remember this, Dr. Hines. Hetmai is a young man.
Yeah.
And the money he has made, he got a lot of life to live.
Yeah.
The money he has made ain't gonna last for the lot of life he got to live. So it would behoove him to tighten up. This is just me saying this. Behoove him to be able to get his batting up to the level that all the Hetmai fans knew that he had, that he could be even more marketable for a longer period of time.
That's right. If the IPL lets him go now, that's it. I mean, he will play in other leagues, but the IPL clearly is the big league. And if they let him go,
and West Indies cricket would be the conduit for him. Let's just say hypothetically, he didn't get drafted by an IPL team for the next season. The conduit to get back into the IPL is through international cricket. He would have to play for the West Indies. And then the question would be, how does he get into the West Indies team? Means he would have to go back to playing regional cricket, etc. To remind the selectors with performances to pick him back, to recall him to the international teams.
Yeah, and that is why I agree with Conrad. He needs to go and play club cricket. I mean, those guys come home. I mean, back. I mean, time doesn't stand still, but you still know when them fellas finish playing county cricket, they land back and they start playing shell shield cricket immediately. In those days, if you want a one match off, you had to get permission and all those kinds of things. And these chaps come and they sit down and just wait for the next league. I mean, they don't play club cricket. They don't.
Yeah. I mean, that's unfortunately the case that it has been recently with Hetmai, because he was home during the first class season. He could have played at least one first class match.
Yeah, he
could have played at least one.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, I know a lot of people would have loved to see Hetmai in whites. It would have been something people been waiting with bated breath about.
Yeah.
To see him in white clothes playing cricket in white clothes again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basil Butcher Jr. We're back on, and please make sure you all share the link and let everybody know that we were on tonight. So we are going to be watching this situation very closely. Of course.
Yeah, by the next week, I think the hot topic would be the new West Indies captain, because the president of the board said by weekend coming up next weekend, there would be an announcement as who is the next West Indies Test captain. So that would be the topic of discussion. It would be a topic of discussion anyway, but it would be even more so if it's somebody from outside.
Outside of the thing.
Somebody like a Justin Graves or a Warrican.
Yeah.
I think the Caribbean airwaves will be burning with fire.
I think it'll be one of the two wicket keepers and Chase. I think they're going to go with. I would not be unhappy if either of the three is given the captain. All right. I think they've invested in the Silver and they're likely to go with him. I would have no problem with that, but I want to keep Imlach behind the stumps.
Oh yeah, the Silver. I mean, last night the game was a classic example why the Silver should not be behind our stumps. He misstumped an easy misstumping chance yesterday in the final, you know, and again a ball bounced in front of him and went through him. And I said, you see, those are the reasons the Silver cannot be behind the stumps with Imlach being there. Not at all.
Right. All right. So next week we'll see what happens, and we'll be able to hopefully welcome Doc back. He's under the weather this week. So Basil, thank you very much.
Okay, Dr. Hines. You have a good evening.
Right. And to you, the viewers, answering the call at the last moment, thank you very much. I'll see you all back here next week, by which time we would know who is the next West Indies Test captain. Until then, I was about to say have a nice weekend, but the weekend is over. For you politics people, I'll see you all tomorrow, same time, for another edition of Politics 101.
Rude boys gonna get you by degrees. Here comes the West Indies. And when you're facing the generals, nearly every ball is a funeral. And when we batting, brother, go and put your men on the boundary line. And if you give we a liquor, that is merely a hiccup. Look, you win the little battle, you lose the war. It's the same result every time. Everybody sing. Here comes the West Indies. Here come the West Indies. Them rude boys gonna get you by degrees. Here come the West Indies. I'll tell you now. Here come the West Indies. Here come the West Indies. Them bad boys gonna bring you to your knees. Here come the West Indies.